What's up, everyone? Welcome back to this week's episode of Just Chris Podcast. This is episode 35. We had last week off, and this week, we're going to jump back into it with a special guest today. I went to high school with him. We played on some teams together. Currently play golf together every now and again. Play fantasy football together.
Yeah.
Lived in the same neighborhood for a while, though. We never really hung out all that much.
No, we didn't kick it often.
But today, we have Jordan Hadding on the mic. Jordan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Labor Day weekend, extended weekend. Nice to kind of get a little break from everything and get in here and kick it with my boy.
Exactly. I'm stoked that you're on. You got the chance to play a little bit of golf today down at Fayetteville.
Yeah. I went down to Anderson Creek, first time down there. Had about 9 inches away from a hole-in-one, so that's pretty dope. Hopefully one day. Have you ever gotten a hole-in-one?
Dude, I've gotten incredibly close. I played 9 at Headingham a few weeks ago. It was a par 3, like 160 yards, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take a 5-iron to it. Let's just see if I can do it. Like, usually I'll either overshoot the green or undershoot it. Mm-hmm. And this time I was like a yard, 2 yards from the pin. I was like, oh my god, you gotta be kidding me! And then the par 3 before that, I was like maybe 5 yards from the pin.
So you were dialed in that day.
Dude, I was dialed in. Just on the par 3s, and then like the par 4s and 5s. Like the driver just isn't my strong suit.
Yeah, I feel that. Did you make the birdie putts?
Of course. Dude, I shot incredibly well that day. I was super impressed with myself because I didn't play for probably like 2 or 3 weeks before that. So to get out there and just shoot like that, I was pretty impressed with myself.
That's the crazy thing with golf is like you take because this is my first time playing in probably about a month.
Okay.
And I went out there and I surprised myself, had a pretty solid back nine, struggled a little bit on the front nine, but the back nine was solid. It's like, doesn't feel like when you take a long time off that you should come back and be right where you picked up.
Right, dude.
That's usually how it is. And then once you start playing consistent again, your scores start coming back down. Like it's the weirdest thing.
I know sometimes like I'll play consistent like 4 or 5 times a week, and I'll take like 3 or 4 weeks off, whatever, just like depending on how busy I am. Mm-hmm. And I'll get back and I'll pick up right where I left off. And then I get back in the habit of playing 2, 3, 4 times a week. And my score starts going back up. I'm like, okay, maybe if I just don't play often, I won't do too bad.
But it's addicting because like when you go out there and you hit those good shots on those par 3s, you're like, dang.
I know, like you want to keep it up, but then like it's a challenge sometimes. So I gave you a little bit of a quick introduction. We kind of just went through how we knew each other. Mm-hmm. Do you have anything else that I missed, or I kind of cover it all right there?
No, I mean, you got a good broad range of facts about me to start this off.
Yeah.
So
that's good. I studied up. I did my homework. I was looking through on LinkedIn. I was looking through on Facebook.
I got those LinkedIn alerts. Mm-hmm. That Chris Carter viewed your profile.
I was trying to get my facts down. Now, is this your first time on a podcast?
No. So in a previous venture, I did a couple podcasts as a host, I think 2 or 3 episodes, and then been a guest on a few of our buddies' podcasts, just hopping on and shooting the shit with them. So no, I've done this handful of times, nowhere near the 34 times that you've done them, but
it's been a journey.
Oh, I'm sure it has.
It's been tough, dude, but I'm still enjoying it. Like I'm having fun doing it. Challenges here and there, but like you kind of just got to push through it.
Oh yeah, I mean there's challenges in everything worth doing. Yeah,
right. So how did it kind of go when you were what was it, like co-hosting on the WRL podcast?
Yeah, it
was
a high school OT podcast. They wanted to see how a podcast on North Carolina high school sports would perform. So I was one of the people that they chose to co-host it. We did 3 episodes, but it was just one of those time things. Mm-hmm. I mean, it wasn't bringing in the numbers to basically justify the time, and we were just like, all right, we're just going to push it to the side and maybe come back to it later. And I ended up leaving and never came back to it, but it was fun doing it. Like you said, it's a lot of work. You got to do some preparation. You got to do the back end editing. But it's a fun challenge. It's one of those things that you kind of start at the ground, and if you work with it like you are here with episode 35, like you're going to see the results follow.
Right. Yeah, it's just consistency, time and time again. What kind of work did you kind of do like behind the scenes with that podcast? Like, did you help with the editing, like the audio and video editing?
So audio editing, the entire planning was me and the other co-host. We had some help on the editing side just because we weren't proficient in it, and at a giant TV station like that, I mean, you're somebody's one phone call away. They can do it in 5 minutes.
It's crazy.
It takes 90 minutes for you to do. But yeah, so a little bit there. the planning for the guest. I think we had 2 guests on the show. So reaching out to them, scheduling times to talk with them. Just a lot of the overview
Okay.
aspect of it. That was kind of more on my end, and the other co-host did a lot more of the back end editing. Thankfully, that is the part where
Dude, it's
I
so
lag,
tedious.
and it's the part where you got to be just really focused on it because it's so important.
Yeah. You got to have like the right ear for it. And like if you don't have the ear for it, like you miss a lot of little stuff.
Mhm.
Like you don't cut out the background noise. And I think like over time, from what I've read, like a lot of editors, they see their quality kind of go down just because like they've overused their ears, like loud noises all the time. Like if you're doing this as a job day after day, like it's going to take a toll on you.
Oh yeah.
So I've been trying to be cautious about that, especially wearing headphones when editing, because I don't want to blow out my eardrums when doing it. Same with wearing headphones everywhere else. But with the WRAL podcast, I saw something about it being an award-winning podcast. Is that right?
So that was not the podcast.
Oh, okay.
So that was a show that started that I originally got hired. That was the first thing that they hired me for as a seasonal employee. Show called High School OT Live. It's kind of modeled after NFL Red Zone. So you have about 6 to 7 games a week that are being live streamed on their own individual channels on the site. And then you have a main show, which is in the studio with 2 hosts, and they're breaking it down, going around. So say you have a touchdown at Leesville Road, they're going out to Leesville Road, and then you have a touchdown at Clayton, then they're going to jump over to Clayton and just kind of give you a little bit of every game. So that show ended up winning a John R. Murrow Award for innovation in 2017, 2018.
Okay.
And I mean, that was just a huge honor to be a part of that group. The show was nominated the year before for a regional Emmy.
Wow.
So yeah, it's that was one of the cooler things that I got to be a part of. Up until this year, I was did some type of work on every single High School OT Live show.
Wow.
So this is the first year I've kind of stepped to the side. I've taken on a new role over there on Friday nights, but yeah. That show is one of the cooler things that have came about from High School OT and Nick Stevens and his vision. But yeah, a lot of fun. You learned a lot of stuff doing a live show like that. I had the pleasure of co-hosting that 2 or 3 times, which was pretty dope. So
yeah, so it's recorded live and just put out right there, right then.
Right there. And let me tell you that
Was it a challenge?
well, you're just if you mess up, there's no
no
editing
back,
afterwards.
right.
So you're really focused on what you're saying and making sure that you don't say the wrong thing. And I mean, you're nervous that first time. That first 10 minutes, it's a little nerve wracking, but I settled in, and I mean, it's kind of growing up. That was my dream, like to be a live studio host for a sports show. So to get that opportunity was a dream come true. And the past few times, the nerves have been out the window, and it's just having fun with it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I did a few episodes ago. I had a friend on the podcast. We did like an Olympic recap. So we did like the first week, second week, and then like a final recap. I think I talked to him about helping out with the Winter Olympics. I think it'd be great if you could help out with the Winter Olympics as well. We can just hop on the mic, kind of run through the events since you have that sports background.
The Winter Olympics is always so cool because like everybody knows about the Summer Olympics, and then sometimes the Winter Olympics just because it's in January and kind of pushed to the side, but some of those sports are really intense.
They are.
Like the cross country skiing.
Dude, that seems so hard. Have you skied before?
I've never done cross country like skiing.
Right.
They do, but yeah, snow skiing. It's been a long time. But
just
when
even doing that, going down a hill, like not doing any work.
Yeah.
You're so sore the next day.
Oh,
Could you imagine like going miles doing this?
No, absolutely not. Anything in miles. Land, water, snow, any.
It's a no from me.
Yeah,
and then there's the one event, so it's like the cross country skiing, and then you have to shoot the rifle at the targets.
Yes. Like, I feel like the Winter Olympics is kind of like, they're sitting there like, all right, we have skis. What else can we do with these
How
skis?
can we make this more of a challenge to the people?
Like, Winter Olympics is crazy.
There's also like a ton of cool events too, like the snowboarding, hockey always, curling, what other bobsledding, dude. That's probably one of my favorite ones. Yeah, like the individual, then the team ones.
When they're all running and then they hop in and they're
Dude, it's
kicking the
crazy.
ball.
I've gotten caught up in some loops on YouTube just watching like
Just
outtakes from them, watching the crashes, dude. It's so entertaining, and I could not imagine crashing going like 80 miles an hour down ice.
absolutely not. That sounds terrifying.
Like, it's crazy. So right now you said you're still working in kind of digital media stuff.
Yep.
Where did that interest kind of start? Because I know, like in high school, we had classes together, and you helped out on Pirate TV. Is that right?
Yeah.
So did it kind of just start there,
Well,
or was it before you were helping out?
I had a love for sports at a young age, and I also had a realization at a really young age that my genetics were gonna not allow me to be a professional in any sport.
Right.
Um, so I was like, well, what else can I do? And I mean, watching Sports Center every day, you realize like, okay, that's what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
So my love for sports media and media in general was really sparked then. I was like, that's why I've kind of up until recently, I committed myself to learning as much as I could about any and every sport, its history, how it's played, the players themselves, the teams themselves, just basically learning as much as I could because I enjoyed it and I thought this is only going to help me.
Right.
And obviously, I've shifted um, paths since then, but I mean, that's probably where my love for media and TV and all that really came from was just whenever I decided like, all right, I want to be in sports, but I know I'm not going to be a player. What else can I do?
Right.
That's where that came from.
Yeah, that's something that's always really impressed me about you. Is you just like know the background of everything, like especially when it comes to fantasy or even just like college football games, like NBA,
So much
NFL.
useless
Like
nonsense.
you just know it off the top of your head. Like you just know these facts off the top of your head,
don't
which
know
is
why.
incredibly impressive. Like I struggle with like just learning players, and then you know the players, you know the stats, you know college, where they're from.
Like I said, I think it stems from that dedication at a young age. I was like, oh, I want to do this. So like, I wasn't playing the Call of Duties as a kid. I was playing the MLB, the shows, the 2Ks, the Maddens, like the college football games. And I remember growing up, like the first thing I would always do when I get the game, I wouldn't just jump right in. I'd go through every single roster and just look at the players, look at the colleges,
Crazy.
and kind of that constant memorization of it allowed me to just kind of, it just stuck with me.
Yeah.
So and then like if I'm watching a game and I hear the stat about whoever, like it sticks with me. I don't know why. Nothing else sticks with me like that. Like I have to really commit to learning it and focusing on it. But anything sports related, I hear it one time and it's just like my mind just sticks to it.
It sticks to it. Dang.
And it's I wish I could do that in other areas now, but I really can't. Like with my new venture, like I wish I could be a natural in it, but it's just not happening yet. And I think the way I look at it now is I spent 20 years trying to memorize all that sports shit. It's probably going to take me 20 years to memorize whatever else I tried.
Yeah, and then in 20 years when, we're like 45, whatever, then you'll have all the sports stuff down and you'll have kind of what you're working on now.
Exactly. And that's
You'll just be a genius all around with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that. I'm far from a genius. But yeah, like I love sports. I'll always love sports, and I'm not in the industry now. I might find my way back in the future, but yeah, definitely have to find. That's been a challenge of mine is trying to find a way to kind of detour my passion and my focus into a new industry when for so long it's been
Set on one thing.
so focused on sports.
Right.
So that's been a challenge, but makes it fun too.
Yeah. So do you have what would you say is like kind of like a life goal in terms of where you want to end up? Like do you have anything in mind or something that you've always grown up like I want to do this job at this position at this place?
Yeah, so until recently, it was always I wanted to either help run a team, so be a general manager of an NBA, NFL, something of that nature, or be working at ESPN, doing play-by-play or being a studio host. But now, pandemic kind of when sports were shut down and we graduated,
right?
It was like, oh shit, what are you going to do now? That whole plan just kind of went out the window, and I kind of looked at myself and I said, all right, well, instead of looking at this as like, oh shucks, like it happened, look at it as
good
an
save on the not saying the bad word. I mean,
don't know if this is
you
a
can cuss
PG
if you
crowd,
want.
but,
No. My grandpa listens to it, so like as
well,
long as
then-
my grandpa approves of it, we're good.
But I was just kind of like, let's look at it as kind of an opportunity to explore different paths, different careers. Because I once you kind of start working in sports, you learn kind of the struggles and challenges of it, such as sports are played nights and weekends, which means you're working nights and weekends when everybody else is off. So going through that in college, like, hey, you want to go to this party tonight? Nope, I'm heading down
That hurts.
I'm heading down to Fayetteville to cover a volleyball match.
It was like that in high school too. Late high school, is that right?
Yeah, late high school a little bit. Not as much. Just because when I was in high school, I was working only Friday nights, and even then, if I didn't want to work, it's just like, hey, I'm not coming in. But once I got to college, I didn't have that luxury. It was, hey, we got to cover this, and you got to go. And
Right.
I mean, that was what I signed up for, so I was fine with it. But also at the same time, it does take a toll on you, just because when you're constantly saying, no, I can't, it sucks. But it's all right.
And you did some content writing for that as well, working at WRAL, is that right?
Yeah. So my typical is kind of like you with this podcast. You do everything. When I would go to a game, I would go to the game. I would video the game, do the interviews, write the recap, post everything online, make sure all the back end stuff's done. So I did anything and everything when I was with high school OT. I covered literally from cheerleading and swimming to football and
I
basketball.
never saw you at any of the swim meets.
Well, you were graduated by then.
Oh, okay, true.
So that's
There,
why.
I'll give that to you.
But yeah, I covered anything and everything, and wrote the stories for everything I covered. Even I got sent to some sports where I was like, "What is going on?"
Really? Like, what would an example of that be?
So went to cover a boys lacrosse game. Really understood it.
Right.
Like I've watched it on TV.
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
I've seen stuff go down, and I go cover a boys lacrosse game, then go cover another boys lacrosse game. I'm like, all right, I can do this. Then I go cover a girls lacrosse
Oh,
game.
yeah. I knew it was coming, dude.
And I go to this girls
Oh, my
lacrosse
gosh.
game, and I remember first time watching it, I picked up the phone about 10 minutes into the game, called my boss and said, "What is going on?"
It's a completely different
I was
sport.
like, they're stopping. Like, I've seen these girls like literally just get free shots. Like, I don't know what's going on.
It blows my mind.
Like, how do I, one, do an interview about this, and two, write a story about it when all I know is Julie just scored.
Yeah.
Like, all I know is Julie scored. Like, I can't tell you anything else. And he's like, yeah, I should have warned you about that.
Dude, it's so different. I watched a ton in college, a ton of girls lacrosse because I had friends on the team. And it's wild. Like, it's like night and day between guys and girls
Like,
lacrosse.
I've never seen.
And it's just like, it's so much easier, too. It seems so much easier, right?
Yeah, no, I would say that just because, like, boys lacrosse is so much more fast paced,
Physical, too. Very physical.
physical. No, I'm not gonna lie. The girls, they don't have as much protection, but they're still swinging that stick. Like,
Oh, yeah. I knew girls, they'd come out of the games bruised up, like,
oh
bad.
my gosh. But yeah, no, girls lacrosse that was probably the one sport that I went to and I was just like, all right, this is gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Because I mean, most of the sports in this state, we don't really have any of the crazy ones out there. I mean, we have like the private schools have some of their specialties, but
Like field hockey. Did you ever cover any field hockey?
I never had to cover field hockey.
I don't know anything about
I don't
field
know
hockey.
anything about field hockey. That would have been a really big challenge for me.
Yeah.
So.
That's crazy. Yeah, dude. It's like they're giving so many free shots. Like, it's pretty much like the shooter, the person with the ball, and then just the goalie. And it's just like a penalty shot. Like, from like 3 meters away.
Exactly, and then you're just like, what's going on? Like, I'm somebody that once I start watching, like, I can pick up and kind of understand a little bit better. But girls lacrosse, like, it was just night and day to boys lacrosse, which completely threw me off because I really thought I was going in and seeing the exact same thing, and I just wasn't.
Yeah. In high school, did you participate in any sports for the school? Because I know you played a little bit outside of the school.
Yeah. So, like I said, growing up, like, I knew that I was not going to be a professional athlete. Now, that didn't mean I wasn't going to try.
Right.
I played a little bit of basketball, realized too short, too white. Played a little bit of soccer, realized my hand-eye coordination's bad, my foot-eye coordination's worse. played football. Size came into question. They put me. I was 6 years old. They put me at defensive end, and I was like, "This is not for me." But the one sport that I committed to at a young age, primarily because of my brother and him playing it, was baseball. And I was a decent baseball player, but after I got cut from our middle school team twice, 7th grade and 8th grade year, I was like, all right, I'm done with this. I was like, I'm not going to keep doing this and putting in all this work and get cut. And my dad grew up in Michigan where wrestling was big.
Yeah.
And basically, I'm a mirror image of my father. We're both 5'8". We're both 155 pounds. Like, same thing. So at the time, I was not 5'8", 155 pounds, but more so right around 95, 100 pounds. Going into freshman year of high school, my dad was like, why don't you wrestle? And that's what he did. He did it in college. He's been in the sport for 30 years. He was a coach when I was growing up. So I'd been around it, and I had decent knowledge. And I was like, you know what? I'll give it a try. So I wrestled my freshman, sophomore, junior year. Decided not to my senior year, just because it kind of had taken a toll on me. It's a grueling sport to do with the weight cutting. And
yeah, I had friends that wrestled in college. No way.
That's a different breed in
Right,
college
it
too.
is.
So I was just like, when it came time wrestling senior year, I was like, all right, I can either spend my time with my friends and make these memories in my senior year doing stuff that I want to do,
Right.
or I can commit myself to wrestling another 3 or 4 months. And it was tough for me because I was like, I don't want to let anybody down, specifically my dad.
Right.
And I remember I called him up and was like, hey, can I come see you at work? I got to talk to you about something. And I pull up and he's walking around. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, what's up? I'm like, I don't think I want to wrestle anymore. He's like, all right, then don't.
It was that easy?
And I was like, wait, what? He was like, I'm not going to, I told you this when you started. I was like, I don't want you to do this for me. Like, I want you to do this because you want to. If you don't want to do it anymore, it's not going to bother me one bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do I hate that I'm never going to see you wrestle again? Yeah. Will I be fine? Yeah.
Yeah.
And just kind of getting those words from him, the person that I started it for, and just it's kind of like that was what I needed to be like, all right, you can walk away.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Yeah, it was, I mean, and my dad told me, he was like, I always told you, like, do whatever you're not going to, like, when you look back, I don't want you to regret it. And when I was like, am I going to regret not wrestling my senior year? Probably a little bit. And he's right. I do look back sometimes and like, dang, that would have been nice. But also when I think about it, like, I did so much stuff senior year that I never had the opportunity to do.
Yeah.
And I was able to channel my focus in different avenues and have some success with those too. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is cool. I think it's crazy. I think if you would have maybe wrestled your senior year, I don't think we would have been as close as we are
absolutely
now.
Not.
Because like I said earlier, you grew up in my neighborhood. Mm-hmm. I've always known you went to the same middle school together, mm-hmm. but we really didn't become close until I would say, yeah, probably like late junior year, summer going into senior year.
Yep.
And then senior year, we had classes together.
That was a trouble.
English class with Miss Langley. Shout out to Miss Langley because she's the one that really sparked my interest in writing. Probably yours as well.
Yeah, no, she definitely helped hone in my interest and my skills. But the thing about Langley, she, like, most teachers, it was like, you have to write about X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, this is your broad topic, an issue in America.
Oh, yeah.
She was like, if you can come to me and explain to me why this is an issue in America, I'll let you write it. I don't care.
What was your issue that you wrote about?
I wrote about, and so that allowed me to channel it to a sports, and I wrote about the one and done rule in college basketball.
Yeah.
And because like around that time, it was kind of when people were like, all right, is this okay? Like, should we allow them to go? Should we make them stay longer? And then I ended up finding a lot of great research papers on it, which allowed me to write even better than I thought I would have. But yeah, that was what I ended up choosing. And I brought it to her and she's like, oh, awesome. I think this is going to be a good paper.
Yeah.
She allowed us to think freely and write about stuff that we were passionate about, which up until that point, I never had an English teacher that really allowed
Right.
us.
Yeah. Same here. It's kind of just like you turn the papers in, then you're done. Like they give you like a B or an A. They don't go too into depth on how you wrote it, kind of like the content you wrote about, how you edit and proofread it. And then Langley was just on top of you. Like there were multiple times where I got a paper back. I was like, there's no way I'm this bad at writing.
It was literally like everybody got their papers back. And even from the valedictorians that were in our class to the people at the very bottom.
Me and Derek.
Yeah, you and Derek especially. But it was like Langley took her hand, cut it, and just let the red go all over the paper,
Oh, it hurts
and
so
she would
bad.
always write the number of mistakes and circle it on top.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, people would be like, "Oh, I got 48 errors. Oh, I got 76. Oh, I got 104."
Yep.
Like, oh,
Or it was the worst when she'd go to the board after a test and write down, she'd be like 10 A's, 4 B's, 2 C's, 0 D's, 4 F's.
you're just
And
like,
it was
everybody
always
starts looking
it
around.
was always like, so how many people we had in the class? Maybe like 14 or 15. It was a
senior
smaller
year,
class.
It was a tiny class.
Mm-hmm. So she would go through and like, you know, me and Derek would be able to pick out like, oh yeah, we already know the 8 people that got A's on this, like valedictorian, salutatorian, all like the real smarty pants, and then be getting down to like the C's, be like 1 C, 2 F's, and Derek and I would look at each other like, yep, that's us, and then
Dap each other up,
everybody
like,
would look
we
at
did
us,
it.
be like, yep, that's you guys.
And then likely would look at you and be like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go and tell you it was you guys."
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
Do you remember senior year? God, I might be getting a little off track, but
No, it's all right.
it was all of us, and like you said, there was like 16, but there was like 8 of us that we were like committed to. We were like, we're gonna study together. One of us is gonna read it. They're then gonna tell us everything about it. We're gonna read the Cliff Notes, Spark Notes. We're gonna be good to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was like the first book. It was either Tale of Two Cities, Jane Eyre, one of those ones. And we're sitting there, we're talking about it, and our friend Samantha, she's telling us about this woman that's like locked in a cellar and she's crazy. And I think it was me, you, and Derek, and we kept pestering her. We were like, why was she crazy? Like, what made her crazy?
We didn't read the book.
We didn't read the book. We
Why
had no
would we?
idea. Like all we had was the character overview that Spark Notes gave us, which basically didn't tell us why she was crazy either. And eventually Samantha was like, "Oh, it's because she had syphilis." Like, awesome.
Oh
Great.
my God.
That's all we needed to know.
Oh my god.
So we go into the test, and everybody in the group but Samantha, so 7 of us. And like you said, it was a small class. 7 of us wrote about this character. She had syphilis. And Miss Langley did that thing where she goes A, B, C,
Runs through
D,
it.
F. And then after F, she wrote the word syphilis and wrote 7 beside it. And we're all like, huh? And she's like, do you guys know why I wrote this? And we're like, no. And she said, 7 of you told me that she had syphilis. It is never stated in the book that that's the case. And we all look at Samantha, who is dying laughing.
She did us dirty. She did us real dirty.
And
on
we
that
explained
one.
it to Langley, and I don't know if she was more disappointed or just found it hilarious, but
You
her
didn't read the
face,
book.
she was just like, what in the world? She never had seen anything like that in her 20 plus years of teaching.
She had us going. Like I can't believe that. And then I remember, I think I talked about this recently with somebody, talking about The Great Gatsby.
Mm-hmm.
And that book is so boring. Like I hate to go out and say it.
I didn't read a single
Especially like senior in high school, you don't want to do anything with reading, especially going and reading an old book that really wasn't entertaining at all. So I tried to start reading it, and I was like, you know what, this isn't going to work. Like the test is coming up, so I'm just going to get like the basics down. And she told us, she goes, the book is nothing like the new movie that had just came out that year in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, I'm not going to watch that movie. So I thought it would be a better idea to watch the old movie, which is like 2.5 hours long, like probably just as boring as the book. And I take the test and I get it back, and still, like, I was better off not watching the movie at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, you know, there's similarities, but then, like, on the test, she went into detail about it. And that's when I just, like, went blank. I was like, nope, I don't know. This wasn't in the movie.
The worst part about her test is you had to handwrite everything. You only had the class period to do it, so the hour and 15 minutes that you were in there, and you had like character overviews, then short answer questions, and then the essay, and everything was handwritten.
Oh my God.
Your hand
I
was
don't
like
miss
this when
it.
you walked out of there, and
Just like cramped up.
you're just like, oh. And I mean, it was brutal because, I mean, it was what, 5 pages every time,
easily.
and like you had to be ready as soon as class started. She handed it out, and if you weren't jumping at the bit to get it done, you were not going to finish.
Yeah.
But you won that contest too in that class.
Yeah.
You
so
got a party thrown for you.
we read the Canterbury Tales.
Yep.
And then we had to kind of create our own version of the Canterbury Tales.
Yeah, everybody had their own little poem.
Yeah, she had to write a poem about, I don't remember exactly. How was it? Like, what was kind of like the criteria for the paper?
So you had to like write about a specific like person or like stereotype or something like that. And if you wrote if you so everybody picked their own person, picked their own stereotype, wrote their own poem, and then everybody presented it, but you got a free 100 on a test if you came in dressed like the person.
Yeah, you got extra credit if you're dressed as the individual
So
you wrote
like
about.
people were doing like the soccer moms, and then people were doing like the school jock, and then you had people like me and you that decided to do individuals in the school.
We were calling them out.
I ended up doing Chris because Chris had some incident senior year that I just felt would be awesome.
Very easy to portray in a poem.
And I ended up dressing like Chris, got that free 100, and thought I did all right. But then Chris came in and stole the show. I think you got like a standing ovation. I'm pretty sure.
I did. It was incredibly impressive. I needed the 100 because it was the same. I think it was the same book we had to create. Like we could draw like a picture or something. Of some stereotype or something like that. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to paint a photo. Like, I'm going to go all out with this. So
I remember that.
I painted the photo. I put my heart and soul into this photo, and I get it back, and
it was not good.
Shit the bed. She did not give me any points. I was like, I literally bought paint for this. Like, I was finger painting. I was using like a paintbrush, and I still didn't do well at all. So I was like, you know what? I need to step it up with this Canterbury Tales poem. And, you know, I really rose up there. I dressed the part of the individual I wrote about. I literally hit every single thing on the head.
And the best part was nobody knew what Chris was doing until Chris stepped up there. He kept it a secret. Like everybody was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And obviously we just told him. Chris was like, I don't know. And then Chris walked in, and everybody knew when they saw him. They're like, "Oh, is that what he's doing?" And there's one line.
Even Langley thought it was great.
Langley taught the student that you had talked about and thought it was amazing. And there was one line in there that I'm not going to repeat, but it was just classic. And I think
I still have it on my phone. I still have that.
Yeah, because I remember I was talking about it with somebody when I was in college, and I texted you, and I was like, "Do you have it?" And you sent it to me, and I read it again and still cried.
It's such a classic.
But then you had that party, and I remember she was like, "Oh, what day do you want to do the party?" And Chris, no hesitation, was like, "April 20th." And she was like, "Oh, it's a Friday. That will work."
April 20th, aka 420. Everybody went to the store. We got cupcakes. We got cakes for it. I bought a huge cookie cake. I wrote Happy 420 on it.
I bought a sheet cake, wrote Happy 420 on it. I remember.
Unrelated to the specific holiday, but you know, the party was on 420.
Yeah, we were celebrating Chris's.
We had to celebrate it.
We were celebrating Chris's win. And I remember when I walked up and asked for them to write Happy 420 on the cake at Walmart, the lady started laughing, and she was like, "I know exactly what you need." Did like this crazy font in like multiple greens, and it was hilarious. And then the assistant principal walks in for the party, and me and you are sitting there like, "Oh shit, we got 2 cakes up here with Happy 420. This could not be bad." Didn't even blink an eye. Took a piece of both cakes left. Yep. We were like, "All right, cool."
Like it was nothing.
We also didn't give a damn at that point. We were walking out of there in a month.
I was parking 3 parking spots a day. Like I parked across like. It was great. Senior year was a trip. You know, I think it was time that we got out of high school. You know, we were definitely getting too big for our britches there.
We were just like you said.
Hot boys.
We were done with this shit, and we knew that no matter what, we could kind of talk ourselves out of any trouble we got in.
Yeah,
like we knew,
especially near the end of the year. At the beginning of the year with my shenanigans, couldn't really talk my way out of it. But
no, but at the end of the year, we were just like, anybody that looks at us, we're gonna be like, we got a month left here. Like we don't care what you say.
Yeah,
like, you want to send us home? Cool. Like I'm already accepted in college. I've paid my deposit. I'm going.
Right.
I was like, I don't care what happens here.
Mm-hmm. Now, you know, I'm really enjoying us talking about senior year, but I do want to circle back on.
We gotta get back to like present day.
Yeah, I do want to circle back on sports. Now, you did mention that your paper was about like the one and done thing, and you know, I think we're kind of going through a very similar thing right now. I really like asking this question to people who are familiar with sports, familiar with college sports, pro sports. The most recent change, the NCAA with the NIL?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep. Name, image, and likeness.
Yeah. So what's your take on that? What do you think about it now that college athletes are kind of able to be compensated for their image and their likeness?
I personally love the rule change. If you got a genius that goes to, I'm just gonna say NC State, that's where I went. They get the Good Night Scholar. but they're also a genius that's been able to become an influencer, has 150,000 followers. There's no rule that they can't go and promote Sammy's, the bar in town.
Right.
Like there's no reason they can't do that. But for athletes, they did that. They're getting suspended, programs getting fined, and you're just like, why is that the case?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of athletes in the bigger sports, football, basketball, some of them don't come from families that can support them.
Right.
Send them $100 to go out and eat with friends. Like, that's just not a luxury they have. Well, now with this, like, you give that luxury to people, to the athletes, and I think it's well overdue. And then people are like, oh, well, that's only going to help the wide receivers on the football team and the star basketball players. Like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, most people don't know this. I think of the 10 current college athletes, like 10 people in college athletics, like athletes that are set to make the most from it, I think over 60-70% of them are females.
It's crazy.
Like, and it's not like some of them are college basketball players. Some of them are gymnasts. Like Suni Lee, who just won gold. She's now a freshman at Auburn. She's now going to be able to do X, Y, and Z, capitalize off that gold medal. She's going to... I would be shocked if she didn't pull in 7 figures in the next calendar year.
Oh, my God. I couldn't imagine.
The one that's able to make the most... Do you know Libby Dunn? She's a
gymnast at LSU?
Yep, gymnast at LSU.
I do. I hate that I know who that is, but yeah.
She's a gorgeous...
To say the least.
Gorgeous gymnast. And I think she's signed with, like, Bryant, like, these high-end fashion people. Like, it's opened the doors for other people, like... Gymnasts, they don't really have a professional level. They have the Olympics.
Yeah.
Like, they have world competitions. Like, you can train in Team USA. But, like, she's now going to be able to basically make herself a public figure. Just like the TikTokers, like Josh Richards and Addison Ray and Bryce Hall. Like, they're the same age. And they're able to profit on their image and likeness. But because you go and play football at LSU, you can't. Just doesn't really add up. So I like the fact that it's changed. I think it's going to do better for the college landscape. A part of that one and done, what I wrote the paper on, I think it's only going to help that because now they're going to want to stay at Duke. You can either go be a second round pick and fight for your life in the NBA and the G League, or you can stay in college 4 years and make easily 6 figures.
Easily, God, that's crazy. I couldn't imagine. I know, like with a lot of like the overseas athletes, like from my school, like rival schools, other Division II schools, with a lot of those, like college in America isn't cheap. So they would be like sponsored to come to America, like by another family or whatever. And then they'd get to America, like you wouldn't really have like the dough, like the type of disposable income you wish you could have.
Exactly.
And I think that could really help change the game now too.
But the worst part about it was like with the NCAA's rules, like, some people, they can't even go get the job. Like, you can't go work at a Domino's because, like, your Domino's is paying you.
Yeah,
like,
you're making money.
And that was a horrible part of it. And I think put a lot of people in really bad situations, but also made a lot of people, like, in college basketball, leave before they probably should have. And I think that's where you're going to probably see the biggest impact from NIL. I think you're going to see college basketball benefit the most of it. But I also think the athletes are now going to be able to build their own brand, build their own name. You're going to see athletes with podcasts. You're going to see athletes with clothing lines. You're going to see athletes basically becoming TikTok famous. And I think it's just a great way for these people to only benefit themselves.
Yeah.
So,
I definitely agree with what you say. Like, it's not just like the wide receivers, the quarterbacks. Like, I have friends that are linemen for Division I football teams, and they're not going after any like big sports brands or anything like that. Like, they're getting sponsored by like Ducks Unlimited clubs, like hunting clubs, things like that.
And that's still, income coming in.
Yeah, like to have the freedom to choose what you want, it's a big deal. Like, I think it's awesome.
I want to say it's Arkansas got signed. The Arkansas offensive lineman got signed by like a famous Arkansas barbecue chain.
That's crazy.
And it's like, that makes so much sense. Like, you could put the whole offensive line on a TV commercial now, give them all $10,000, and it's only going to help the barbecue chain. It's only going to help the athletes. It's only going to help the program. It's only going to help everybody involved. And the only people it hurts possibly is the NCAA, but NCAA, fuck them.
Yeah.
NCAA is the most corrupt.
They've been running it for a long time. It's about time there's a change.
Did you see what Kavanaugh said about the NCAA?
Yes, I talked about this on a podcast maybe like 10 episodes ago. I can't remember exactly what it was like verbatim, but
He said if you take the NCAA's business model and put it in any other industry in America, it would be extremely illegal.
yeah,
He was like, it's only because it's college athletics that their business model has been able to run and sustain for as long as it can. And it's like when somebody of Kavanaugh's power, Supreme Court Justice, says
exactly.
that, I mean, you've been hearing it for years, but when you get that type of pull, you're just like, oh gosh.
If Kavanaugh's
I'm a
saying,
believer that the NCAA, unless they completely reinvent themselves, they're gone in 10 years.
yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think that's very true. I'm definitely excited to kind of see the future of it. Hopefully, we can begin to see it spill more into like Division II schools.
Yeah.
A lot of the smaller stuff. Like for example, I've talked about this before, but like with swimming, like very similar to gymnastics. There's not much of like a post college career unless you're truly dedicated. And then you can get like some like endorsements like
Yeah.
Speedo tier things like that.
Yeah. But that's for the elite of the elite.
The elite of the elite, like the people that are qualifying at the Olympics, swimming at like world events, stuff like that. But I have a teammate, he graduated just a year after all this was approved. He has his own clothing line now. And I was trying to find the shirt to wear it on the podcast today. It was in the wash. But like for him to, if he had that when we were in school, like he could have banked off it. Like now
exactly.
he's looking to kind of supply the whole swim team, or like the men's team, with a bunch of clothes for it, just so they can rock his gear, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But to continue on with sports, I have the very famous
Yes, you do.
Cheryl Trophy sitting right next to me. This bad boy.
Tank.
This is a tank. We started up fantasy again. We had our draft a few weeks ago.
Yeah, but I've already been hit by the injury bug.
It hurts. You hate to see it. How are you feeling about this year's fantasy season?
Before I lost J.K. Dobbins, my number 2 running back,
God, it hurts.
I thought I had a great chance. I love my roster on paper. I still think my roster has some potential, but there's a lot of guys, rookies, or some guys in new places that you really don't know what their roles are going to look like yet.
Right.
And if they get the ball enough, like I think they're going to be solid fantasy players, and my team will be fine. But injuries, people always try to tell me like, "Hey, let's put our draft at the end of the preseason." I'm always like, nah, like this kind of adds some fun to it. Like those teams lose their players, like we're gonna lose those players. Like kind of adds another challenge into it. But it is what it is. We'll survive. How you feeling about your team, buddy?
Dude, I'm feeling pretty solid about it. It'd be great if I could bring home the trophy again, or actually just keep it at home
Yeah,
again.
nobody's gone back to back yet.
Nobody has gone back to the back.
We got Steven has 2 wins.
Steven has 2, Daniel has 1, Hannah Shano has 1, and your boy C. Carter has 1 this most recent year. Dude, I love this trophy. It's going to be a sad day when
God, that trophy
when
is
I have
just
to get rid of it.
trophy's just beautiful.
But if anybody's going to get the trophy next, J-Hat, I want it to be you, because you'll beat Lofton to it, you'll beat Goodman to it, you'll beat Scoot to it, Farabah.
I've been told that. I'm not going to name people because I mean, but I've been told like people are actively rooting for me. It's like if it's not me, like I want it to be you.
I know, dude. Like,
and that's nice to hear.
it felt great to beat you, but like now I want you to kind of take the role. I want you to get the feeling of having this Cheryl in the house.
Hoist it. Like, yes, I did it.
Party with the trophy. Yeah. It felt great when I got it, dude. But yeah, I'm feeling good about this year's fantasy. I've told myself that I'm going to dedicate more time to watching NFL. I'm a part of a league at work, and then I'm about to start a draft for a league with some school friends. So I'm going to try to dedicate some more time to it, really kind of get a better understanding of the players, teams, because in the past, like
I will say this. From year 1, we did this, and Chris selected Tom Brady with the 5th pick. To year 6 now.
Yeah.
And Chris selected, who'd you get this time?
You
got Dalvin.
Dalvin Cook, yeah.
Yeah,
Dalvin
see,
Cook first pick.
That's how far you've came.
I know, I've come
You've
a
came
long
from
way.
taking Tom Brady and defenses to Dalvin Cook, and I think you got Najee Harris in the 3rd round. Like,
I do.
Like you had a good draft. I remember because you came over and drafted with me, you and DJ, and I remember I was like, dang, Chris. You're starting to kind of pick up, like
Yeah, I
starting to make
was
some
the
good
first
plays.
year. I've never done fantasy before. The first year we did it, what was it? Our freshman year of college.
Yeah, we started our we picked that team before everybody left, and then freshman year.
Yeah, so since then, like I've definitely picked up a ton, like from our league, from other leagues that I've been in, a lot more online research of like how to properly draft your team, positions in which you need to pick them in, things like that. So yeah, I've come a long way. I held off on the quarterback a few rounds later this year.
You did, but you still got a good one. You got who? Hurts?
Hurts, yeah, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I mean,
And then my other league, I had to go with the GOAT, dude. I had to go with Tom Brady again, just because like if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Tom Brady won you the ship. Like you took.
This is Tom Brady, and this is Mike Evans.
Yeah,
I owe it to these boys right here.
It's crazy because last year I feel like our league had like half the teams were like quarterback. Like they had the quarterback and then they had the star receiver, and anytime you played him, you were just like, damn, like he cannot throw a touchdown there. That's 20 points every time. And it was you had that, and you had good running backs. Like your team was stacked, and I think who'd you knock off in the semis? Because everybody thought it was going to be everybody.
Dude, I thought it was
Goodman's team was
the
very strong.
quarterfinals, and
Lofton's team was strong, and then you and Farrah both pulled off the upsets, and then you two played in the finals, which was like this was like if George Mason and NC Central meet in the national championship game in March Madness. Like it was nobody saw it coming.
No, dude.
But you did it, and you got the trophy.
I don't know how
name's
it happened.
on it, and that name's going to be there for the rest as long as that Cheryl stands. So that's gonna be dope.
We got room.
I think we could fit another 7.
I'd say like 9 names. We
we
can keep playing this for 9 more years, and then we'll
then
have
we
to
just
upgrade.
then we just add a new tier.
Then we just get a new plate. Yeah.
No, we just make it taller.
Yeah.
Like, we need to have we're gonna be
Just add
60.
another-
Yeah, we're gonna be 60 playing fantasy football, and it's gonna be like 9 feet tall. It's gonna be
an investment to have, and our wives are gonna hate it, but I don't
They'll
care.
those have to understand.
Yeah, like we've been doing this since freshman year of college. Like it's got to continue.
Yeah, no, I will die before this fantasy football league dies.
Yeah, 100%. We're not letting it go down the drain. We put a lot of hard work into it.
And we've lost players, found players. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, each year, like we continue to kind of push forward. We've kind of stuck with the same main group of players.
Yeah, like I think we have like 8 people that have been in it every year, and we've gone to 12, we've gone to 10. We've bounced all over the place. This year, we fucked around, added a head coach, pissing people off.
The head coach idea is great. I really like that. I really wasn't aware of like all the features you could do when it comes to drafting until I sat down with you and kind of picked through all the stuff with you. But yeah, I'm stoked about the head coach. Hopefully that can kind of give us an upper hand. Maybe hurt everyone else. If we could, are we in the same division?
No, because remember the way we did it.
Oh, that's right. We both picked.
I put you in a different division, me in a different division, and then we basically picked like who was going to be in our divisions back and forth.
So in the end, we
Just
could
to do it something
could be
different.
playing it off for this.
God, that would be an intense battle.
That would be the day hell freezes over when you and I both go to the championship over everyone else.
Gosh, if I play you in the championship, we'll live stream the entire Sunday of watching football.
Oh yeah,
and then, or if it's one of those things that Monday night game, like we both have a player, it's close, we'll do it then. But like we'll just basically have us there shit talking each other. It'll be great. Great content.
I'm pretty damn good at doing.
Oh, the best shit talker around.
There's not enough participation in the team with shit talking. Hopefully we can pick that up this year. Trying to get some more shit talking out of Scoot.
Well, he doesn't need much motivation. I'd love for like Maria or Steven to come in one week and just like rail their opponent,
everyone, yeah.
like just go to town on him and really humble him. Now I'm saying that Steven's gonna watch it and I'm gonna play him and he's gonna come in and just
first
put me
time
in my place.
he's gonna literally like hit every insecurity of yours and be like, I'm getting you this week.
Like he's gonna scare me into starting like my bench players.
Yep. That's great. Now the last thing I do want to talk about, I was introduced to this idea kind of recently from you. I saw it on LinkedIn. I saw you post about it. I'm connected with your mom on LinkedIn. I saw her post about it.
Shout out, Mama.
Shout out, Faye. And I reached out to you about it because I was curious because I recently learned about the NFC tags from a coworker. And then when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's super interesting. So I reached out to you and I was like, yeah, you should check these out. And you're like, actually, like that's exactly what this does. Like it's an NFC tag that you put on the back of your phone. I'm not sure if you can see, but we got the little black dot right there. You kind of want to talk about your newest business opportunity, how it was presented to you, how it's been going?
So back in January, my brother left his marketing company and started his own one and was like, hey, I need some help. I was doing a cold calling sales job and said, absolutely. Jumped at it as soon as he offered it to me. So, and about 3 months in, he was like, in order for us to get to where we want to be, he's like, I think we need to own our own brand. I was like, had some money saved up, and I was like, that I like the idea. Like that's an investment risk that I think I would want to take. So he went and kind of did some investigating and brought back a couple. We talked to some different companies and kind of were just like, you know what, like that's not us. Then UBUMP was presented to us, and we were like, we talked about it, and we found some ways to horizontally scale it. We found some ways to kind of target different niches, and we were just like, okay, this is what we want to do. So we acquired UBUMP back in May, and from there on, we've just been putting our marketing expertise and kind of just making connections, have some exciting things that we're working on, and it's been a new challenge, something I never expected I would jump into, is being a business owner, being an entrepreneur. But here I am, and it's exciting. I've always been somebody that when you kind of present me with a challenge, like I'm kind of cold feet at first, but whenever I do kind of stick my feet in the water, I'm fully submerged. It's something that I'm glad I did, and I'm starting to see a lot of potential with it, and it's super exciting.
Yeah, it's awesome. I ordered the product a few weeks ago. We talked about it the night of, I believe, the draft. I think it was the night of the draft. We talked about it, and he told me kind of the deals going on with UBUMP right now. And there are a couple different options when it comes to purchasing. You can get a discount on one, or you can kind of do the back to school special. Mm-hmm. And you laid out the pros and cons of each one, and then you explain the back to school back to school special, and like how beneficial it would be for not only the company as a whole, but like the person who bought the product could help out their friends as well.
Exactly.
And when I heard that, I was like, you know what, like that's something I want to be a part of. That's something I want to help out, kind of put you on the map with it. Mm-hmm. So I ended up, I bought one, you get 2 free. Is that correct?
Yeah. If you go, the back to school code's gone, but we saw some success with it. So if you go to UBUMP code 2, so the number 2, and then bumps, add 3 to your cart, and you'll get 2 for free.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I did that. I got the 2 for free. I gave 1 to a coworker, the one that introduced the whole NFC scanning and like capabilities that your iPhone has. Mm-hmm. And then I sent 1 to another friend up in West Virginia who's really involved with politics up there. You know, he travels around the state with a bunch of different groups, talks to a ton of different people. And he told me a lot of their stuff is all digital. Like a lot of their like contacts and everything is all digital. They don't really do much like hard copy papers, not a lot of business cards. And when he told me that, I said, dude, this is the perfect opportunity for you. I sent 1 up to him. It should be getting to him sometime this week. But I'm stoked for it. It's an incredibly awesome product. I'll put up like a screenshot of how it works. But you kind of want to explain, you know, what it does, the purpose behind it.
So basically, it is like Chris said, an NFC tag that you can put on the back of your phone. You can put it on literally anything, whatever you want to put it on. And any phone with NFC reading capabilities, which kind of became popular, I believe, 2016, 2017. Mm-hmm. So some older phones like iPhone 8s, they have it, but it really doesn't work that well.
You have to like enable the thing on your phone.
So that's been kind of one of the big problems. It's kind of the troubleshooting of issues that you come across. But you scan it with your phone, and it will pop up basically just like if you were scanning a QR code at a restaurant. That's what we now see on these menus. It's going to pop up with a Safari link. Swipe, you open it, and it's going to basically you can put unlimited links. So my account has our business website, my LinkedIn, my email, my phone number, my contact card, my Venmo, my Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, everything. I put everything on there just to show that it really does have that versatility. I can go meet with a potential client for our digital marketing agency, give them all my information. Then I can go out Friday night with Chris. We can walk up to some females and be like, hey, like, want to bump?
They don't know what that means. No, then you take out the phone. They're like, oh my God.
Yeah, I did that one time to a cop. I was like, you want to bump? And all of a sudden I got searched. I was like, what's going
on?
And I was like, yo, what? But yeah, no, I really like the idea because
it's so different compared to everything going on.
With the pandemic, we look at it kind of like a digital business card. The world's going contactless. Everything. Like I said with menus, like they're even putting QR codes and not giving you a menu now. So what's something else that is extremely paper oriented, and that's business cards. And then also think if if you have your business card and you're going out to lunch and you come across somebody that could potentially be a client of yours, like say we'll take your lawn care. You come across and you're talking to John Doe, and John Doe's like, man, I really need somebody to cut my grass. And you're like, oh, well, reach out to me. And you're reaching around like, oh, well, I left my business card in the car. And we're like, well,
I've been there before. I've had that problem before.
Now with UBUMP, you're not going to leave your phone in the car. You're not going to, you go anywhere you go, that phone goes with you.
Mm-hmm.
Same with me, same with anybody of our generation, and even people of older generation.
Everyone has their phone.
Everybody has a phone, and everybody keeps it with them no matter where they go. They're going to the bathroom, they're going to work, they're going to school, they got their phone. And that UBUMP will be on your phone, stay on there. It's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome. I've been showing it off to people. I've showed it to all my family. I think it's a pretty interesting idea. I've showed it to some coworkers, and they think it's awesome, dude. So I'm incredibly stoked, for the future of UBUMP and kind of the growth behind it. I think it's going to be awesome when, it's kind of a nationwide thing. Like you said that you're slowly beginning to see like locations pop up. Like I think you mentioned Nebraska the other day. Like you see one in Nebraska, then multiple in Nebraska. Yeah. And hopefully like we can see that up in West Virginia as well.
Yeah, like it's one of those things that I was telling Chris, like it was a small town in Nebraska. Somebody bought one. And we were like, all right. 2 weeks later, back-to-back orders from that same small town in Nebraska. You're like, okay, so that's not a coincidence.
Right.
Like, that's Ashley going out, and she showed Becky and Jamie, like, oh, this is what it is. And they're like, oh, I love it. They jump on and they get it. So it's kind of allowed it to spread organically. And that's why we kind of did the 2 bumps, is because it's only going to speed that spreading organically, because now, like, those people in Nebraska, they all used it. Now, instead of having just one UBUMP for Jamie, Jamie has 3. She gives it to her husband and for neighbor. Mm-hmm. Then boom, 3 more, and trying to basically build this community of UBUMP users.
It's crazy, and I love how it keeps track of like how many times you've bumped with people.
How many times
it's kind of a flex.
Yeah, like I don't know what yours is. Mine's I think 98. Like I'm getting close to triple digits.
Dang,
which is pretty cool.
So. That's a big deal. That's awesome. And what kind of challenges have you kind of like encountered with this venture?
Any and every challenge that business owners have gone through, I feel like I've gone through, from lack of capital, challenges with inventory, challenges with the technology sometimes messing up, which I mean that happens with any technology,
right?
So kind of troubleshooting issues, and that's another thing is I'm sending these out to Nebraska, and people are reaching out like, "Hey, I can't get this to work." So then I'm trying to communicate with them like, "All right, what is the issue? It won't work."
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Okay, if that's all you're giving me, like, this is going to be a really difficult conversation to have. Right. So the challenges have been more so with kind of just trying to figure out the issues right now, because we are, like I said, we bought it back in May, so we're 3.5 months in, 4 months in. So like I said, the challenges are kind of just trying to figure out what are the issues, how are people using it, and how can we basically make this the most successful product it can be.
Right.
And for somebody that's never done that, been new into the marketing industry, like basically every single day you're learning something new, you're facing a new challenge, and it can take its toll, but it's also extremely rewarding whenever you do reach new milestones, new heights. Like 2 weeks ago, we got a UBUMP in all 50 states, which was a goal.
No way.
Which was a goal that I set up.
That's awesome.
At the very beginning, I was like, all right, we currently have 20 states. I was like, I want to get to all 50 by July 4th. It took us until middle of August, but we got there, and like, it was awesome. Like, because I remember I logged on and I was like, all right, let's see if we got it. Because we're missing South Dakota and Alaska. And I was like, all right, we got South Dakota. And then like 2 days later, I was like, all right, let's see if I missed anybody. And literally we got an order like 5 minutes before I had checked it. And it was from Alaska.
No way.
And yeah, we sent out a video on the UBUMP channel, just basically thanking everybody, because for a small startup business like us, like that was just something that was like the first milestone that we really reached. Yeah. That was just super rewarding to see.
That's awesome. And kind of how is your product being exposed to people? Like, is it mainly through social media and just like word of mouth?
Yeah. So we do a lot with social media. we do a lot of paid media, so SMS marketing, email marketing, Instagram, Facebook ads, TikTok ads.
Oh, you guys do TikTok ads too?
A little bit. We're not extremely expertised in that area, but we're using UBUMP as kind of our trial to try to figure out how to exploit. Because I mean, TikTok is probably the biggest social
Everybody's
media
on
channel.
it.
Yeah,
I mean, minus me, but you know,
I'm not on it.
Oh, there we go.
I'm
You and
not
I are
on it
both
either.
not on it.
But it's something that there's a lot of potential there, and we'd be naive not to try to exploit it and use it.
Right. That's awesome, dude. And where can people find this product?
If you go to shop.ubump.co, not .com, I don't know why, but .co, you will be able to view all of our products. We have some exciting new ones coming. Don't know the exact time frame. End of the month is probably a good time frame. So we'll be adding some new design lines and working on some more exciting things that I can't talk about yet.
Right.
But when we get them, pay attention to UBUMP. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're active on there every single day on all three of those. Just look up UBUMP. I believe that's our username on all three.
And you guys have a YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel that's also UBUMP. And on there you can get content on how to use it, troubleshoot some common errors, as well as me and one of our employees have kind of started working on just some like tip videos from my experiences in marketing, running my own business, and throughout life. Some of the stuff that I've learned, just sharing it with the general public. So some LinkedIn tips, marketing tips, etc.
That's awesome, dude. Well, Jordan, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast today. I had a great time. You know, we covered some sports, talked about some English class senior year.
Yep.
Talked about your experience in digital marketing and media, and then we finished off with the UBUMP stuff. So I appreciate you coming on. I had a really good time. We're gonna have to get you back on the podcast again soon.
Yeah, for sure. This is
I'll plug everything in the description of the video, including like the promo code, stuff like that, the websites, the social media. Is there anything else you want to plug? Any other types of social media?
Only thing I want to plug
find
is
you?
This man does everything. Let me show you. I walk in and he's over here. He's messing with the camera, messing with the audio, making sure that we got a good background. Like, hey, he's putting in the work. So please support this man. Like and share everything. Help his journey, because one of the few good people I know. And
I appreciate it, bro. Truly. Well, Jihad, I will.
CC.
I'll talk to you soon, dude. We'll get this back on again soon. We maybe do like a mid-season recap for fantasy.
That idea,
maybe we can start to get some stuff together for the Winter Olympics. Maybe try to get a show together. Get my friend Thad on as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it'd be a great opportunity.
That would be great. Like
Good
I
deal.
said, this was a lot of fun, and the setup is professional.